Hi y'all, my name is Melody and thanks for stopping by. And today I'm going to do a true crime book review, show review, TV review. So today I'm going to just be talking about I'll Be Gone in the Dark, both the book and the TV series. The book was published in 2018, the TV series in 2020. I wrote my notes as soon as I watched it and I read it, so I'm going to go off of the notes that I got here. So I'll just let you know a bit about this. So I read I'll Be Gone in the Dark, One Woman's Obsessive Search for the Golden State Killer in February 2019. It was a year after it was published. I had also already read other true crime books prior to this one, but this one was the one that changed the way in which I read true crime. This book was this book that caused interest in the Golden State Killer to come back to the fore. Michelle McNamara who wrote I'll Be Gone in the Dark, was not just a writer but an investigator, collecting clues and connecting the crimes to one another. Another difference in this work is that this work is personal. It is about her struggles with the case and balancing that with her family life, as well as elevating the victims above that of the criminal perpetuating crimes, who we now know is Joseph DeAngelo. Whereas the book did not directly lead to the arrest of DeAngelo, the publicity did, as well as McNamara's idea of using DNA and DNA sites to connect the crimes of the killer. Now, there's three different things here. So we've got a book, a podcast, and a television show. So there's a subsequent podcast. So now Michelle McNamara actually passed away prior to the book being released. I believe she passed away in 2016. And the book was released by her husband, Patton Oswalt. He got help to finish that book. So I'll just talk about that in a second. So there was a subsequent podcast that came out after that, after the book was released on Audible, called Evil Has a Name, and it was with Paul Holes, Jim Clemente, and Peter McDonald, and it added another layer with interviews and information about the case, as well as the capture of DeAngelo. There was also interviews with the victims that survived and the families of victims, which I really appreciated, having that insight of what happened and changed to their lives and things like that. Now this has actually been followed up by the TV series of the same name, which uses Michelle's own personal recording and notes, as well as interviews with her husband Patton Oswalt, who with Paul Hayes and Billy Jensen, as well as editors, helped to finish her life's work. The TV series follows her writing and her investigation and is woven with the interviews for those involved. Like the book, it focuses on the search for the killer, but with a higher emphasis on the victims. It also highlights the misuse of prescription drugs, which unfortunately led to her death, as her obsession also caused physical and mental strain. We get interviews with DeAngelo's family, which I have never actually seen an interview with his family. And how they felt that having a serial killer in their midst, and not knowing about it until he was arrested. The series was also heartbreaking in a number of ways, like with the death, because it goes through and it shows the beginning of the book, and it has her, you hear her voice and you see what she's done, and then they have interviews, and then they do explain the crimes during it as well, but and they talk to the victims and you get some more about the families. So it was heartbreaking in a number of ways. So you've got the death of Michelle, the promise of the widower Patton Oswalt to finish what was her life's work, the loss of a mother, the victims, the families, and even the relatives of the killer. It was just sad to see like how this one man tore up numerous families. However, at the end of the documentary series, it was really nice to see the victims get some sort of closure, and where they were actually able to create their own support network of survivors where they didn't have one before, because they didn't know until more recently, they didn't know all these crimes were connected. And I think that support network actually has helped people, because they're saying, like, because I think there was points in there where when they were attacked as couples and the couple lived, there was one that had stayed together throughout it, and then there was other ones, and they were like, so how long before your marriage broke down after you were attacked, and things like that, which was absolutely awful sort of thing. So it's like, oh, I was only with so amount of months or whatever before the divorce happened after this horrific incident. So this whole series as a whole, so I would say to read the book, listen to Audible, and watch the TV series if you possibly can, is an absolutely brilliant display of how true crime can be handled in a sympathetic and empathetic manner, and how it also shows, like, through the victims. I know we have the sad death of Michelle, which is absolutely, the world has lost a great writer. It actually shows how much strength the victims had and how their resilience to carry on, which was absolutely beautiful. The only shame I have for the whole thing is that, unfortunately, the stress and it took the stress and the life of the author, and that she passed away, and the publicity behind her work is probably the only reason why he was eventually caught. I know that Paul Holes was working on it for many years, but I think that that's, like, the case is, like, if there wasn't this publicity and push behind it, because she was doing all this work and all this research and all this investigation with this team that she created, that D'Angelo might still be out there instead of rotting in prison, which he's now doing, which I appreciate. That's a good thing. He was sentenced the other week. They did put it on YouTube, and you can go and watch that if you so choose to, but I would say it's a hard watch, and I had to turn it off because there's victim statements there, and the victims are incredibly strong for being able to come out and talk about how this affected their lives. The way that this book changed the way that I read true crime is that I'm not as detached from the actual incidents as I might once was, because we were talking to the victims like victims, like people. Basically, when they wrote true crime in the past, the victims had a name, had an age, had a sex or whatever, and then that's it. Whereas this, you learn about the people and the people involved and what actually occurred, and that's the way it's changed true crime. I think it's the best true crime book that I have actually ever read. Even now, this is the best true crime book that I have read. The book is available everywhere. The audio series Evil Has Name is on Audible, and I believe that if you're in the UK, I'll Be Gone in the Dark is on the Sky Crime channel. You can watch all of it if you've got on demand. If you're in the US, I think it's HBO that it's on as well. So please do, if you like true crime, then this is something I would highly recommend, because the way in which you watch this will change the way that you view true crime going forward. I'd like to end on a positive note. So I am so glad that they finally caught him, and that the victims have gotten their justice, because that's the only thing that we can think of when we're looking at true crime, is that the victims get their justice. And I will say to you, stay safe, stay positive. I love you guys, and I will see you next time. Bye.